boundaries. Work from home boundaries, you might think, okay, yeah, that makes sense very intuitively, right? I have working hours, it's in my contract. Please don't violate those working hours. How does sleep come into play? Well, first of all, a lot of people whom I see, even if they don't come to me specifically for sleep problems, they are reporting disturbances in sleep. And a lot of it came about when they started working from home. And as I understood more about their concerns, I understood more about the changes in their lifestyle, how they felt, what kind of changes in their sleep patterns emerged, I realized that there were a lot of factors in the natural environment, in the current work from home lifestyle, that impeded sleep onset or prevented them from getting sleep that was as good as they would like it to be. So what I'm going to do today, yes, hello again for those of you who don't know me. This is who I am. This is where I practice. And these are the 3 areas that I serve people and corporations for. So today, what we're going to talk about is a simplified overview, first of all, of how sleep works. I need to introduce this to you so that you understand why I would make some recommendations at the end. I will then give you some simple tips on why and how to modify your lifestyle so that you have an optimal chance of getting good sleep. I say optimal, there is no 100%. We all have good nights and bad nights, but by and large, we want it to be optimal so that we can work and play, right? And lastly, I'll talk about when to seek help. When to seek help. So this is not a comprehensive discussion on sleep. There are so many biological, psychological, and environmental factors involved that I cannot fit this into a one-day workshop even. So we are only focusing on things that are perhaps the most relevant for the work from home era. This is also not diagnostic. Please don't go through this and tell yourself, oh, yeah, I have insomnia. It may not be the case. Sleep disturbance can be due to many things beyond just insomnia, as you will see later. And lastly, this is not a treatment. This is not a treatment, is individualized. Treatment is not, okay, here's the textbook. I'm reading from the textbook. I'm putting in slides. Here you go. Bye. That's not the case, all right? So how sleep works. So let's think about how the sun rises and how the sun sets first. Long before our time, in whichever part of the world that our species emerged in, it was exposed to sunlight. It lived naturally. There was no electronic lighting. There were no indoor buildings that would be pitch black if there weren't any artificial lights. The sun was the main source of light in the daytime. So what happens when we wake up? Your eyelids are translucent for a reason. They allow light to pass through. And when you have this blue-green light that comes out in the morning, it enters into your eyes. It sends signals to what we call the suprachiasmatic nucleus, which is somewhere around this region, above the point where the optic fibers behind your eyeballs cross as they start to connect to different parts of the brain. So this is your wake-up signal, your natural wake-up signal that your evolution has programmed you with. Now, as the sun is up, you stay up, the light's still around. And as the sun sets, it starts to get this orangey, reddish sort of glow. You start to feel a bit sleepy, gradually. And that's because this is meant to motivate you to start engaging in bed-seeking behaviors, finding shelter, finding a nice place to rest before it gets dark. Because once it gets dark, we are not very good against predators. We are very visual creatures. Our other senses are not as well developed. If we have a tiger pouncing out from somewhere and we can't see it, we are probably toast. Now, so the body clock on a pre-COVID workday might look like this. There are several Z-givers, time givers, that help us tune the body clock. If you imagine the body clock as a clock, these Z-givers are kind of like the numbers on a clock that tell us which part of the day we're at. So you might wake up this way with this kind of lighting. As you experience midday, you go, your office, your windows, you go for lunch, your social interaction, you're exposed to sunlight. You exercise early in the day, you might find that you're sleepier on the same evening. If you exercise later in the day, especially intense exercise, you might find, oh my gosh, I'm so awake now, I can't go to bed, right? But generally, you will then have this commute back. You get this exposure to the sunset. It's pretty much like how it's meant to be. So what you have is this change in your alertness. It's a 24-hour natural cycle, generally 24 hours. And it also affects your arousal. Arousal means how physically and mentally active you are. And that activity level prepares you for action. It is tuned by all these cues up above. And more, in fact. And then the second process, besides the body clock, is what we call sleep pressure. So, in short, wear and tear needs repair. As you wear and tear your body, you need repair. Then that repair often happens during sleep. Not exclusively, but a lot of it happens during sleep. So, think about it this way. You have waking activity. You move around, you do things, you go about your day, then eventually you will be so tired and drowsy, there's an irresistible urge to sleep. And as you sleep and you recover, it falls back to baseline. And then you start the next day with more waking activity again. So that's how it works. The more, it's like a muscle, the more you use it, the more you need to rest it, right? Now, what happens to the body clock and the sleep pressure once we're working from home? So first of all, you don't have those time givers anymore. The signal is lost. All you have is your room, your bright white light that almost feels like midday. If you're sitting in front of your table as well, and your table is in your bedroom, your body is thinking like, okay, so this is the workspace, this is not a sleep space, right? Right? I'm not sure. You lose all these cues. You lose all these cues, not just in terms of the lighting, but in terms of all the other activities as well. You're just sitting in front of your computer the whole day with that bright light on. Now, that means instead of having that nice gradual fall as we head towards the end of the day, the alertness level, the body clock keeps you at an alertness level that's pretty much more or less constant because it is basically trying to figure out what time is it. I don't know. Is it time for me to start knocking off? Is it time for me to start telling my human to start going to bed? I have no idea. So we don't feel drowsy. And the other thing is that pressure to sleep. Well, if we're just sitting down all day, we're not commuting, we are not walking around the office, we're not talking to other people, we're not walking out for lunch, we're not commuting back. The other thing is you have a lot less physical activity. So that means it takes longer for you to reach the same state of drowsiness, that same irrepressible pressure to sleep. And when it takes longer, then, and if you're trying to sleep at the same time, you might be lying in bed and be thinking that, okay, something's not right. I'm not worn out. I feel like I can still do something. So this is what's happening as we're working from home. These are some of the lifestyle changes that are happening. This is what my clients report. So simply put, normally, the probability of you sleeping depends on this body clock arousal. It needs to be low, and sleep pressure needs to be high. When you're working from home, your body clock is confused, and you're not that worn out. Hence, you might have problems falling asleep, staying asleep, finding that your sleep quality isn't as good as it was before. So, how do we go about solving that? If you have questions, just drop them in the chat box because I know this one got quite theoretical. So, solutions. First, restore the body clock signals based on lighting, the timing of activities, and your social routine. So where you used to have, can you see my mouse? So wait, can you see my mouse?
Yes, I can.
So where you used to have all these markers throughout the day, all these markers throughout the day across the natural course of sunrise and sunset, we need to put those back in. We need to put those cues back in here. This is my wind down bedtime routine. This is my dinner. This is my exercise time. This is my lunch time. This is the time where I have coffee. This is the time where I start work. A lot of people think that, okay, I'm trying to fix my sleep. I need to focus on things before I sleep. No, that's, if you read the treatment manual, yes, that's what they'll tell you. But I'm telling you now from clinical experience, there's a better way, because this process is a 24-hour cycle, right? If we want to start, we need to start with how you wake up. That's going to start building the fatigue. That's going to start tuning the body clock. If you wait until this part to do something, it's too late. So the second is, how do we build up activity then? We're at home, right? Well, I want to go to my office. My office has a nice gym, 24/7 fitness, my yoga studio, Evolve, MMA. That's what I used to do. Now it seems like spending all that time going down there for just for that 1 hour class doesn't worth it. So build up activity with things that you can do. Head outdoors, do what you can outdoors, exercise outdoors, and household chores. A lot of people seem to tell me that household chores are a pretty good substitute for exercise while still helping them feel productive, that they've got something done, that they did something that they actually needed to do. Basically, wear yourself out. Start to wear yourself out. We need that. That helps us manage the sleep pressure. Now, how do we go about doing this in a sustainable and effective way? So this is where I start to include clinical experience as well, in addition to the science. So first of all, establish a routine that you actually like. I am quite tired of GPs telling people to go and take a walk in the park and you'll sleep better. That's fine if you like walking in the park. If it's not something that you like, you're not going to do it. It's going to feel like a chore. You don't feel like having a chore at the end of the workday or within your workday, so you won't do it. But if it's a routine that you like, gee, this is nice, this is fun, get a breath of fresh air, I feel better now. And as you do that, it starts to be self-rewarding, self-reinforcing, and therefore self-perpetuating. You will want to keep on doing it. That's the secret. Then we need to wake up on time. We need to incorporate body clock signals into activities. We want to reduce the chemical stimulants, especially in the second half of the day. You can have your morning coffee, but after lunch, try not to, unless you are the kind of person who is caffeine insensitive. And I would also suggest that you refrain from moderate or intense exercise after mid-afternoon. Okay. And lastly, sleep on time. Next thing, be consistent. Your sleep mechanisms can shift. Waking and sleeping times can shift to the point where you start to feel sleepy at a different time. You start to wake up at a different time. But this takes a few weeks and it needs to be consistent. Your body clock doesn't know the difference between weekdays and weekends. And if you find that this is difficult, it's helpful to do what we call social contracting. So I'm going to tell my best friend, okay, this is my schedule, I'm going to start sticking to it. I want you to hold me accountable for it. So maybe every other day, your friend checks in with you. Ben, do you actually follow your sleep schedule? And if I did, I'll be like, yes, okay, yes, good job. If I didn't, I'll experience something called cognitive dissonance. Shit, I said I wanted to do this, but I didn't do this. It feels very bad. And that inconsistency will push you towards your resolution one way or the other. So finally, harder gets easier. So it's initially challenging. No one has been 100% compliant with the sleep plan from day one. No one. Not even myself when I design and redesign my own sleep schedules. But it doesn't have to be perfect to be effective. Now, the second thing is, if you get sleepy before bed, you'll be naturally refreshed and ready to go shortly after waking, shortly after, not immediately. It takes time for your body to wake up again, but it does get easier. And here's the best part. Once it's set, it's usually quite robust. It's usually quite strong. So if you have a Friday night party and you go beyond your bedtime, that's okay. Just one time, it's okay. You do that every day, of course it's not okay anymore. We are changing the sleep cycle again. But if you establish a good, healthy sleep cycle that works for you, it doesn't mean that you are a slave to it. You can have the occasional party, the free pass, so to speak. So as for work outside your bedroom. Don't confuse the body clock. Reserve the bedroom solely for sex and sleep. Make sure that work starts and ends on time. Put your materials and reminders away. Keep your laptop somewhere where you don't see it. We don't want a situation where, I wonder whether there are any new emails. Let me go and check. And then suddenly all the lights come on and your brain gets a signal that, oh yeah, it's working time now. It's not sleeping time. Oops. Respect each other's work hours. So if you don't want people to buzz you after hours, maybe don't send them stuff after hours. Or if you send them stuff, tell them, it's just here for your consideration. You don't have to reply me outside your working hours. And if this isn't the norm, tell your boss to see me. Because sometimes organizations need to be aware of this. Because if you have no sleep, you have no capacity. You have no capacity for work. You also have no capacity for play. Doesn't work out for anybody. So no capacity, no productivity, right? And productivity is important for companies, I'm sure. So now, clinically speaking, if for primary insomnia and shift work adjustment, psychotherapy works based on all the mechanisms I told you above. And it's often the first recommendation, not medication. Psychotherapy is the first recommendation in many clinical guidelines. Psychiatrists will be more familiar with this. Your GP may or may not be. Medication does provide short, quick-term response, but with all these detractions as well. We can combine it. We can use the meds to sort of reset your sleep cycle, while the therapy gives you the skills to program the rest of your day until the point where you start to feel sleepy even before you take your meds. And that's usually the point where we can start talking about stopping the meds. Now, treatment does vary based on the type of sleep disturbance you're facing. What I discussed is suitable for primary insomnia, shift work adjustment. Some other things like sleep apnea, where a part of your nasal pathway collapses, you don't get enough oxygen, and then you wake up breathless. That may require a more holistic intervention with different approaches. And insomnia that's associated with other issues, like say depression, that's treated differently as well, but it is treatable. Now, above all, same thing as before, seek help when self-help is not working. Don't wait until it takes something precious away from you. And with that, I think these are again the references. There are a lot more, but these are the main ones for today. And with that, thank you very much.